All right, good evening, everyone. System Chalk here for the 32nd, I believe, of the Book of Hours YouTube playthroughs. I'm not going to lie, I've been really, really excited to play this. I'm feeling quite enthusiastic about the game, and it's way too early for me to talk about this, but I think some of you who've been longtime viewers of the channel will know that I sometimes take some breaks in particular when there was a fairly long break between me finishing the librarian run, and that was because I knew Book of Hours would be coming up. Um, but it is maybe worth remembering that even prior to the beta, the full release of the game, I was playing Book of Hours quite regularly. So it's been over a month of this basically being the only game that I was playing on stream. And with the release of Phantom Liberty, which I was given a key for, I took a little bit of a break on the stream just so I can play some of that. Cyberpunk's quite an enjoyable game, but I realize that's something a little different than what this crowd might be expecting. And I think that might have something to do with it. Like I've never sit down and say, "Oh God, I gotta do Book of Hours again." I genuinely have never felt that way. And yet, I really do feel that this is kind of a vindication of that particular style of schedule that I do. To me, it really has. It really does wind up having maybe one of these unrecognized, at least consciously unrecognized, effects of just reinvigorating my interest in the games and the prospect of recording them. So again, like I said, I always hope that comes across in the games. I hope it doesn't come across that I was feeling fatigued. I've definitely been feeling a lot of pressure from work and such, but yeah, I am hoping that this has been translating into something that produces better videos for you, as well as makes me feel better. But with that in mind, we are looking for the actual videos that I'm eager to make. So we are going to read On the White. Solomon Husher writes, perhaps allegorically, of winter and its long, slow, doomed romance with the sun. The epigraph is sunset at noon. So this is what we'll be using the snowy day on. We are definitely going to make sure that we commit the skill this time. And we have our conclusion. I can master this mystery enough winter to match mystery winter. We should also have another text in our reach. So the Locksmith's Dream should be one that we can read. And that's really just a question of getting a pattern. Now, before I do that, I may want to consider, do I want to bring in a worker today? And because if I do, then it doesn't make as much sense to bring in Mrs. Kill for conversation. So I think Denzel is a good choice here. If we talk with Denzel, so we would want to set aside our metal. We would need a foresight, which we can get from any of these three texts. So metal, foresight, and then the T, which is available in the reading room. So we basically have everything that we need there. So I'm happy with that. There is, I suppose, a question, do I want to use the core or the health to be able to bring him in, because I would also like to do some gardening. Or actually, I could use the Arab. And that makes a lot more sense because I'm not bringing in Mrs. Kill. So that's an easy one. Denzel will talk about practical matters, although he prefers to sit in silence. A shilling will buy his help for a day. What do you need? Okay. Now, the likelihood of me getting a knock memory out of Denzel is pretty low. So we are looking to... we are definitely looking to read the Locksmith's Dream. So let's get the pattern. And I suppose the question now is what... And actually, you know what? Arab is the one. I can't... Even though it's more powerful, I can't see a reason why I would want to use it here. Specifically today, so... We will read, by their marks you shall know them. So that's the shop spoken for. So what we have left are Faust, Corfet, Health, and Trist. Now, this little subset is something that I had access to before, so I shouldn't really be expecting to find anything that these are ones that I wouldn't necessarily be able to crack open under the best of circumstances. There might be an exception here with As the Sun is Course. So with Sickle and Eclipse, if I've got 3 there, so 3 and the higher level Arab would be 5. The Kukurbit Barrette is 6. So yes, with the contradiction, we can actually now read As the Sun is Course and the Leonine Tantra. I'll do that next day. Obviously, I've already used the Arab there, but that's maybe one for me to keep in mind. Maybe what I do probably want to take care of these boxes. But let's do some gardening. So I'll use my health in the garden here. Herbs and infusions gather in winter. Few flowers flourish in the depths of winter. Blue Crown is one of those few. I could get the pears. But I don't think we have Lenten Rose, so let's start with that. Pluck the petals of the Lenten Rose. Okay, so now we have Tristan Fet. So I'm going to go beach combing and a walk on the moor. Rhyme rims the Mortarns. And beach combing. Crack open the container, delight in your discovery. Well, I suppose I did set myself up for potential disappointment in the fact that I didn't leave anything open for the forge memory for Denzel. I was a little premature. Let's see how it goes. Speak with Denzel, he might even reply. Alright, time, peace, recovery. Okay. So I think right now I kind of need to spam it with Denzel just to see if I need to recover an element of the soul. I mean, it's not the end of the world if I have to give one of these up. Alright, looks like we have finished the affair of the forgivable debt. So we did send off Arthur Moore. Like many criminal enterprisers, reckoners offer loans to the desperate and the unwary, but reckoners can offer loans not only of cash, but of allotted years of life. They usually keep a low profile, but now 2 reckoner mobs have gone to war in the unremarkable Lithuanian city of Kaunas. Why? What's in Kaunas? A story has no beginning or end. Arbitrarily, one chooses that moment of experience from which to look back or from which to look ahead. Graham Greene. This incident has seen its full complement of visitors and is concluded. There will be an interval before the next incident when visitors will seek general consultation. Alright, more drinking cocoa. That's a little bit of a shame just because this is something that I can kind of already get through making a witching to sane. But who could say no to the secret sacrament of the last Inca? Okay, there's our pattern, so we'll get to work on that one right away. Now I'm going to start building the habit of going to the vagabond desk for this sort of thing next. So we'll do our pattern, and we'll add doors, door and wall should do the trick. And then finally we'll add the relevant text. The Locksmith's Dream Trespasses, the 3rd volume of Teresa Galmier's examination of parallels in the mystic dreams of artisans. This was our first target for today, depending on whether or not we get the foresight. Oh yeah, well, the next one would be the foresight. Mademoiselle Margot Matutini, or Matutine. Socialite, yachtswoman, and, under the name Morgan, an alcoolite Elysian. The former means, among other things, that she eats people. The latter means, among other things, that she is not to be taken lightly. So we already have Kelesimi. In this case, we can satisfy her Grail or her Sky. But we will do that after... we needed better knock anyway, but it was kind of funny that I said we're unlikely to get a knock memory from Denzel. Nothing in particular is afoot. Any visitors this season will likely just want a general consultation. Okay, quartz chunk, ice rock, winking light. We've got sand. An hourglass, of course, is sand contained by sand. Blue crown. The sky-colored petals of blue crown are always cold as frost. I need to pick a room that I'm going to keep the flowers in. I can put them... There used to be places where there were statues. So we'll start with decoration. Yeah, I'm gonna need to work out a better system. Okay. So we definitely want to talk with her to get the Spintra, but clearly we have other priorities with Denzel right now. Fear. Now, I suppose the other possibility here is we find something else that will give him Forge. So if I think about what I really need, if I'm opening up the Despoiled... Oh yeah, okay, actually if I'm opening up the Despoiled Laboratory, he's got 2, this brings him up to 4. So why do I want the T? Okay, so if I get something with 1 Forge, let's actually, let's get a little bit of preliminary work in. So I'll talk with him about the metal. I guess what I'm looking for here is the 6 or the 8. No, I want the 8. All right. On closer investigation, the work seems to be a theory of aesthetics, or perhaps a set of warnings about the dangers of painting. Husher writes distractedly about his suspicion of colors and his yearning for death. He hints at a great work he has envisaged, or begun, where the palest of paintings will enthrall the world. He returns again and again to certain compelling phrases, which he claims are the secret words of winter. So quenchings and quellings, and we have a regret. I think I can make this work, actually. For some reason I felt that we had quenchings and quellings, but clearly we don't, so use this lesson to acquire a new skill. So here's what I'm thinking with Denzel. We've got him up to 4, so regret we can move him up to 5. And then what I would do is I would give him the square and... Yeah, so the square and the regret bring him up to 6. And then the T brings him up to 8. Now, I guess the question I would ask then is like, okay, if I bring tools into it, is there a better way of me getting him up to 8 that doesn't involve giving up scarce resources? So we've already used the element of the soul. We're about to use the memory. And we're about to use the tool. So let's say that the memory, let's say we get a foresight memory, just for the sake of the argument. So then we would go, he would be at 6 there, then we take the square, that brings him to 7, and then that still leaves us at a point where we would need to give some kind of a consumable to bring him up to the 8. So to my mind, it's perfectly fine to use the regret. All that we're really losing here is time, which is not nothing. Like, we do still want to satisfy our visitors' needs, but yeah, I think I'm happy to just add an extra step to the process. Our course is fixed. Proffer a tool. I can lend my assistant something to help, increasing their abilities. We're used up in terms of elements of the soul anyway, so everything else is just kind of a spare at this point. We obviously can keep going back to the sweet bones, but, you know, we have more elements of the soul than, I mean, specifically 3 more than I did previously, so it's not like I'm in a position now where, you know, I'm not going to sit down and say, okay, it is utterly essential that I be able to do more things. Like, this is the first couple of days when I've been using these extras. It's gonna be there's always gonna be something new to do. So I'm happy to leave it as is. Arts which quench fires and bring solace to the troubled mind. A true adept is never troubled by fire, nor by fever, nor by restless spirit. Ambrose Westcott, and finally, To Winter Aspect, which will help me out in terms of reading. Well, our toughest winter text is already handled, but it'll be useful in other ways. I can discuss a memory with my assistant. Alright, in this volume, notoriously, Galmier's prose begins to disintegrate, and it is not clear which dreams are in fact her own. The woman in the sand-covered robe has told me the stairways of the mantis go ever up, death is down, the mother of ants guards both directions with each of her heads, and so the passage must always be through a wound. I think the white door might be a wound. That's one reason the dead sometimes pass it. I think I have the other half of the secret now, and I hope my reader can put both halves together. So this gives us an impulse and Edict's Liminal, which I believe is a new one for us. So I feel it's only appropriate that we put Teresa and Christopher together. Alright, so Edict's Liminal, that is in fact a new one for us. Acquire Edict's Liminal. And at the end of the day, once all is said and done, I will reorganize my shelves, because clearly there are some books that are easier for me to read than others, and I haven't properly organized the shelves accordingly. Okay, so there's the 6 that we needed from Denzel. So I was originally kind of sanguine about the idea of going for the Despoiled Laboratory or the Wind-Prowled Gallery, but in the grand scheme of things, I should be able to get Mr. Kill without expense. So it'd be a little silly for me. Well, I mean, there's technically one cost I'll incur, which is I will probably wind up paying to. I'll probably wind up paying to recover my whist. But in general, I don't need to worry too much about. I don't really need to worry too much about accessing Mr. Kill, and he's not going to cost me a shilling because he's married to my friend. So in this case here, the artist has a little bit of an easier time in the sense that there are 2 people who I should be able to access. So yeah, in this case here, I do want to work on the Wind-Prowled Gallery just because this is the sort of thing that I need. It's something I've hired Denzel for, and it would be nice if I can use Denzel a smaller number of times, all things being equal. Obviously, I still want to be able to open the place. Okay. Veiled Goddess Lapsang Suchong, a cup, named for the enigmatic minor deity whose charge is the healing of burns. I can offer my assistant something to drink. And in 30 seconds we will be able to talk with Mademoiselle Margot Matutine. Another leaf on the Tree of Wisdom. So nothing that we aren't really already working with. Door and Wall gives us more knock, and Sacralamea gives us more moth, but there's other uses for skills. In retrospect, I maybe didn't need to spend so much time with Crowcross Sands in the Moor. If I... You know, it doesn't hurt to have more stuff, but it's not like I'm crafting as much. So maybe I'll take care of the boxes first. Anyway. We're ready to open up the Windprowl Gallery. This has long been a holy place, but the rites have gone too long unperformed. The windows are shattered, and only the wind walks here now. And let's have a chat. Perhaps I should call myself Sapphire, huh? If there's an incident card active, you can discuss it, or just leave the slot empty and offer a consultation. If I offer the Spintra, doesn't do anything. I can identify my visitors' interests and satisfy them with an appropriate book. Alternatively, if they know a language I'd like to learn, I can offer payment. So I have a feeling that there's not such a thing as like a 4 Sky or Grail Kilisimi text. But yeah, we'll do 7 Phases of Icarus here. My visitor has questions about the matters of the lower heavens. My collection has answers. I believe this does not pay as well if there is an incident going on. But any Spintra is good Spintra. And of course, in the grand scheme of things, right, knowing when we committed the memories and such there, and especially because Kilisimi wasn't something that was essential, there is a small argument to be made that it would have been better for us to satisfy, this visitor's interest in the incident. But you can't know who's going to be showing up when. So, that the reason why I make these distinctions are largely just to sort of say what sort of falls in the regret minimization framework and which one doesn't. So, yes, if I had perfect knowledge of all of the random draws that were coming up, it would be great to be able to say I don't need the Kilisimi that I used, but there wasn't any way I would have known that. So I'm not too fussed about it. Okay, so lots of things to do here. So the Windlet Gallery, in the days of the Brethren, every day in this gallery would ring with the liturgy of the hours. In the time of the De Wolfs and of the Curia, there were services here every Sunday. All those times are long gone. This is a house of echoes now. So we have Gideon de Wolf. The bust is terracotta, brightly painted. I can't remember if we had a placement for Gideon in here or not. Like, we're running out of places, right? So he'd either be in the this one or this one. And I'm fairly certain we actually have something to tell us who the second was. But in any case, like I said, it's always nice to have the smoking gun. And that's one of the reasons why we keep reading all the details, just to make sure that we're keeping on top of the lore. But I do have the option of placing Gideon if I feel confident. A driftwood fragment. Long ago, there was a forest between the waves of Brandkrug Bay. This driftwood is not nearly that old, but it's shared salt with its lost forerunners. We have the Sunset Harp. I have been stringing a harp, disguised for 9 years in water in the foam of the sea, the battle of the trees. Ava's Locks, a wrack washed up on the beach by Brandkrug. Sol Invictus symbol, the eternal symbol of the unconquered sun, all the way back to the Shadowless Empire, even though through the wild heresies of the Intercalate. A curious seashell, Brandkrug is said to lie in the bounds where the world ends. Odd creatures have made their dying way to the beach. And yew blank, we've got plenty of these, a wood sacred to the Malachite, who is also called the ring yew, but also the tree that the dead pass in the dark. We have the HMS Karashim, a fourth-rate ship of the line, captained by Sebastian de Wolf in the batter of Kyburn Bay, lost with all hands. We've got 3 Solar Period books. Spanners, when you need them. Oscillate Oil, Caterin Hero's finest oscillate oil. We've got a crate of supplies, a windlet workbench, which will accept forge, lantern, heart, and knock, and then it takes wood, or made of wood. Woven remains, tools, ductile. Apparently it'll only take 1 made of wood. Oh, nope, it just changes positions, but it will take... Okay, one of these things is missing. So we've got made of wood. We've got wood. Okay, only 1 woven. How promising. You've satisfied your visitor and earned a reward, but the more they learn, the harder they'll be to satisfy in future. Okay, so I do want to catalog these books sooner rather than later. But I do also want to open the boxes of rarities as well as the toolboxes. Or sorry, creative supplies rather. And then, as I mentioned, I have other texts that I want to read. Now, I did read on the right. Oh, I don't remember what the memory for this was. I have a guess, but I don't want to lock it in. Oh, I feel like a real bonehead for doing that. Yeah, because we got... I remember we got quenchings and quellings. If I think, just for a minute... Like, it's one of these ones where if you kind of sit on the... Like, if... I sometimes find if I sit and think, it's one of those ones where intuition just sort of brings it up, and then sometimes there's those ones where you sort of know if you sit down and force it, you're like never gonna remember it. And I'm definitely feeling... I thought I had it, but yeah, I'm not feeling it. Okay. But that's fine. Well, I can put this in the mystery pile, I suppose. But the Leonine Tantra... Okay, so the big one for us was that we now have 2 edge, so 4 with the memory, 5 with the barrette, and then 8 with sickle and eclipse. So that means the Leonine Tantra should be an option. 7 shards is outside of our capabilities, but this, as the sun is course, is an option there. Lady Ava's Repose. I'm sure we have a couple of others that I'm ignoring right now, but this is a good... I think this is a good start. On the white was the regret. Yeah, I didn't get the regret from the memory. I didn't get the regret from conversations with Denzil. Okay. I don't believe I have some... Fallen Cross was regret, wasn't it? I'll have to double check these, but I'm feeling pretty good. The fact that I've forgotten both of these probably means I should be testing them out anyway. Okay, let's think about Nox. We've got Shapt, we've got... Oh, we're definitely thinking about... So Moon I don't think is really accessible to us right now. I think we've kind of mined that as far as we can go. So let's play around with Ambrose's desk here. So we'd take the memory, we'd add the Shapt, and I believe my best here would be door and wall. Yeah, it would have to be, because the other alternative would be desires and dissolutions. So, and we know we don't have a tool. So, interestingly enough, this is where we get our 8. We don't get that any other way. So I could do the Twin Serpent Tantra. Probably makes the most sense. Yep, so I'm a match for this book. Enough knock to match mystery knock. Okay, moving along. I will set aside the Arab. I guess there isn't really anything else wintry that I need to worry about. So we'll work on Lady Ava's Repose. And that one, that's going to be where Quenchings and Quellings helps us. So I can master this mystery. Now it would seem to me that probably cataloging is a higher priority than considering, but cataloging will mean... It'll potentially mean that I get hit by the afflictions. Okay, so I have a few ideas here. So first of all, I do want to see if there's any more pairs that we can get. Yeah. I'm going for the ones that don't say, like, don't have any specifics. For the very, like, I want to confirm that this is it. Okay. And then I'm rather expecting... But the bees, it's unlikely to garner much from the... I'm unlikely to garner much from the hive this time of year, yeah. Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't gardening to be done. There's actually very useful things that I can get. But it's good to just be clear in terms of what my expectations are in winter. So, I don't think it hurts to have... Wait, Lenten Rose. Okay, that's a start. So I want my contradiction. And I will get that from those indignities perpetrated by the deceitful fraternity of obliviates. So that's going to be the higher use for the Arab here. And so that means after all is said and done, I have a core. Now, technically, I can use this core for more gardening or some of the other heart-related stuff, but let's just leave that aside for now. So I've got a core, fet, a tryst, a metal, and a fost to deploy as I see fit. And in terms of areas of the house that I want to gain access to, it's either 9 lantern, 9 moon, 9 winter, 9 forge, 9 lantern, 9 sky. Shrouded Stair is a piece of cake. Although I do believe I'm still going to need to hire someone for it. Veiled Chamber, less so. The Despoiled Laboratory is the one I actually want to access, but again, I've already used up the Whist. So, what this is really boiling down to is, do I want to hire Denzil again? And I actually don't think that's a bad idea. So, I'm going to take my core. Denzil will talk about practical matters, though he prefers to sit in silence. A Schelling will buy his help for a day. So, I will hire him. So that's going to mean the metal gets set aside, and I will set aside, let's say, the tryst to make sure I have access to the foresight. So now we start studying this. Now, and I obviously haven't left anything open in terms of whatever's coming at the other end of the memories, but I don't know. I don't think I'm at the point where I want to be playing that cautiously. So this book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Solar Gothic period, roughly between the 1000s to 1500s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Now, I know I'm at the end of my time for today, but I do want to get some basics in place with Denzil right now. So what do you need? So first things first. We're going to talk with him about the metal. Remembering that we need to get him up to 9 forge in the Ill-Omened Tower. All right, now I have an idea of this book's nature and of its contents. The Serenity of the Black Wood. Not a terrible one for us, because we did level up Sacra Lamea. But yeah, I still think that's outside of our range. So we can get 5, 7, 8. Yeah, that 8 is kind of the best that we can put together on short notice. Okay, let's take a look at another solar text. Now I can feed him the tea, but I'm not quite ready for that yet. I will use the square, though. The Mason's Pride. So the way that I've been working with the book so far is that on the chance that they wind up producing something that I need to sort of spend some effort to... Like, so let's say that I need something where it's like, okay, if I want to level this thing up, I'm going to need another element of the soul. The idea here is that we're growing in terms of the list of skills, but we're not quite at the point yet where that's a major consideration, and the cost of renewal is tuppence. Like, that is not a major expense. So here, the idea of just being able to do more is more valuable to me than holding back. Once I have, a huge arrangement of skills, once I'm at a point where, it does actually kind of matter what I have available to me because it's hard to generate enough memories at a particular point, I'm going to change that perspective. But for now, it's more valuable to me to be able to do things so I can open up my inventory than it is for me to sort of sit back and wait. So perfect example here, Annals of St. Brendan's. I want to read that as soon as I can, because that's going to have useful information. Oh, I've got my contradiction too, so we can read an edge text at Ava's desk. Let's read the... well, I'm going to have to figure out where to store the Tantra, so we will read As the Sun is Course, Sickle and Eclipse. We'll add the contradiction, and then we need to add the Cucurbit Barrette. So I can master this mystery, enough edge to match mystery edge. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to... I want to avoid making this a 40-minute episode if I can. But I think I'm in decent shape. I am a little worried that waiting over the course of a week, whether or not I remember that I need to get the foresight for Denzil, and more importantly that I'm going to remember Ava's treasury will provide me the memory I need. That's a little dodgier. But overall, I think we're in a good spot in terms of our memories and our different achievements. In terms of more general tasks, so my whist is definitely spoken for the next little while. I would very much like to be able to open up the Despoiled Laboratory, but it's always nice to be able to level up those skills. And being able to get Denzil to open up the Ill Omen Tower should give me access to at least a couple more books. We have talked about the advantages of the Echoing Chamber. Now that's probably going to be a Mr. Kill job there. And what else do we have? The Shrouded Stair, that should be pretty simple. The one regret is that I'm not able to bring someone who doesn't cost money in. But yeah, in terms of the Veiled Chamber and the Echoing Chamber, I think those are going to be pretty... Sorry, Veiled Chamber, Echoing Chamber, and Despoiled Laboratory. Those are pretty clear Mr. Kill jobs for me. So that's one reason to clear out the whist. And then when I'm feeling like my elements of the soul are a little bit more calm, something that I'm able to, pull back a little bit and use some elements of the soul for things that are not sort of pressing concerns, I will make an ink so that I can open up the Rattling Bridge. And then with my enhanced Grail, I might start taking a look. The Wheel-Filled Spring won't help me, but the Infested Wine Cellar, and I thought there was another Grail room. Maybe I was wrong on that. But yeah, just being able to touch on a couple of Grail things and get those out of the way would be good. But I guess I hit my 40-minute mark now. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope the progress has been a delight, and we'll see you Monday for the next episodes. Take care.